Hey guys, it's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and today I'm finally bringing to you a Ford Focus ST, a brand new Ford Focus ST, and the owner of this car is actually my wife, Lori. I'm sure I'm making some of my guy viewers out there a little jealous. Yes, I have a wife who actually wants to share in the enjoyment of driving fun cars, sharing that passion for cars, and she finally decided, hey, take the plunge, get a performance type car, something to get her feet wet, something that she can enjoy on a daily basis, and this is the route she decided to go with. So let me tell you a little bit about the Ford Focus. If you are a kid growing up in the 1980s, there was no such thing as a Ford Focus. It was called the Ford Escort. Once the Ford Escort was put aside, eventually Ford decided to build the Focus. Now, we here in the United States have always had watered down versions of either of those two cars. The Europeans have always gotten the better versions. Now, in the early 2000s, Ford had a Focus. The problem is the Focus that we had here in the United States was totally different than the one they were offering in Europe. Fast forward to 2011. Finally, Ford woke up. They knew that Americans here wanted a sporty hatchback with the best technology underneath the sheet metal, and what they did was they merged the two cars together. So in 2011, the same Ford you could buy here in the United States was the same Ford that you could buy over in Europe and other parts of the world. The 2011 Ford Focus was revolutionary with a lot of its styling and changes. Now, in 2012, Ford decided to come out with the ST. That was the first year of the ST. And if you're wondering what does ST stand for, it actually stands for sports technology. A lot of people think it means street tuner or stage tuned or something like that. It stands for sports technology, and that was something that Ford wanted to do. Is they wanted to take the Focus and they wanted to add some trickery underneath the hood, inside the cabin of the car, and make it just a more pleasurable, enjoyable, sporty feel for people who bought the car. As you know, they have the Ford Focus RS, which if you've been watching my channel, if you've been subscribing, which hopefully if you haven't subscribed, you hit that subscribe button now and subscribe to my channel. I recently purchased a Ford Focus RS. That is the pinnacle of the Focus performance. The ST, though, is a great car for people who need something maybe a little bit more price effective. Also, people like my wife who want to step into the arena of performance cars and see exactly, what they want. So let's go ahead and take a look at this really drop-dead sexy Ford Focus ST. As soon as you see it, what stands out, and one thing that I love about this car, it's featured in Kona Blue. Kona Blue is a color that's been on the Ford palette for decades, and as you can see, here in the sun, it just sparkles like a diamond. That immediately grabs your attention to this car. Let's go ahead and look at the front of the car. Now, I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you could tell an ST apart from the rest of the group of the Focus bunch. Automatically, obviously the ST is going to give it away. But if you don't see an ST, or say somebody added it to a standard Focus, here are the differences. On the ST, you get this much wider grille. I really love what Ford did by making it a gloss color rather than a flat black. It really makes this grille pop, and it's allowing more air to get fed into the radiator. Another thing is that, how can you tell? This is a brand new Ford Focus ST. How do you tell it from maybe a 2012? Because guess what? In 2015, Ford did a slight revision of the ST. They changed the grille from the 2012 model. They changed the fog lights from your traditional round fogs to this more aerodynamic fog light. And another thing, the easiest way to tell the difference between a 2012 to 2014 from a newer one, which started in 2015, is this body seam right here. Do you see how this body seam is totally straight? You have the Ford emblem here, and then you have the hood opening up here, and it's totally straight. That is an automatic giveaway. If you look at a 2012 to 2014 model, the hood actually comes down a little bit lower, and it actually follows the curve of the Ford emblem. So that's something that I actually like. I didn't really like that look. It kind of, when the hood was closed, didn't really fit flush. Now that they've moved that line, that hood line, it actually just cleans up the whole front end of this car. Another thing that they changed is this area right here between the early STs and this newer ST. This opening down here, this has a front mount intercooler. So what we're gonna find out is what makes this an ST compared to a standard Focus when it comes to performance is this has a 2-liter direct injected turbocharged motor putting out over 250 horsepower, and it's intercooled. Remember, intercooler front mount is really the way to go because that's where you're gonna get the most air into it. To help cool that air going into the engine. So I'm really loving what Ford did with the front end of not only the new ST, but just the ST overall. It's a nice clean look, but it's also very aggressive. Let me point out the headlights real quick for you. Now my wife, she decided to go all the way to the highly optioned ST3. Now the way that the options work, and I'm gonna talk more about this once we get inside the car, is a base ST is called the ST1. Then there's the ST2, and then there's the fully optioned ST3. When you check off that ST3 option box, you get these amazing high intensity discharge headlights that are also directional. They're adaptive. So these headlights turn with the steering wheel. You're gonna get a nice bright light at night, and they actually follow the bend of the turns as you turn the steering wheel. This comes with the ST3. And this really finishes off that aggressive look of the front end. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the car. Immediately, I want to draw your attention to these wheels. Now, these are not your base Ford Focus ST wheels. The base wheels are basically the same flat silver wheels that they've been running since 2012. In 2015, Ford decided to give people an option. Now, what's cool about this option is you don't have to buy an ST3 to get these wheels. You could actually check off the option box. It's an $800 upcharge, and you could put this on an ST1, ST2, or an ST3. I highly recommend. One of my favorite things, and I think when my wife and I are out and about, we always get compliments on these wheels. And for $800 at the end of the day, that's nothing. It's a really beautiful 5-spoke, but what I like about it is I like the way they divided each spoke into 2. And then another nice thing is they make you know that you have some performance with this car, and they paint those brake calipers that traditional bright red, and it really pops out between from the wheel, the silver, and of course that Kona blue that I was telling you about. Now, I know that some of you might say, well, I'm gonna go out and get different wheels, and that's fine. But if you want a wheel that comes from the factory, they come with these beautiful Pirelli P0 tires. They're great on performance, they're great in wear. For $800, there's no better way to do it, because if you go out and option out some other wheels, it's gonna get very pricey very quick. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the car. Now, one thing like I've pointed out before on other Ford Focus models like my RS, this area, I'm a little disappointed. I feel like Ford could have flared out the fender a little bit, maybe put in some heat extractors to help drag that heat out from underneath the hood. So this is an area where I'm hoping that when the next Focus comes out, Ford will attack this area and give us a little bit more substance. As you can see, working our way down traditional Focus lines. Now, another thing that's a little different is this bottom rocker panel. This bottom rocker panel is specific to the ST and the RS lineage. If you go with a standard Focus, this is going to be a little bit more curved. So that's another thing that maybe if you were not paying attention, you would miss. Let's go ahead and work our way to the back. Now, I really like what Ford did with the back of the ST. As you can see, loud and proud, we have our ST badging there. I am in love with the spoiler. Now, if you want a spoiler that isn't too aggressive, but it does have some substance, this spoiler is where it's at. If you notice, it's actually a bi-level. So you have the wind and air will come across your roof line, and then some of it will go down and some of it will get kicked up. It's a really nice feature, and I'm glad that Ford decided to give the Focus ST a little bit extra something. The last thing I want to show you with the tail end of this car is this rear bumper. When they redesigned the car in 2015, they changed the rear bumper. It still has the same awesome shaped exhaust. This is something I really liked about this car, is they gave it such a unique exhaust that when you're behind it, you automatically know it's something special. This rear bumper cover, I like the way they took the ribbing, the flat plastic ribbing, and they carried it all the way across. It gives it a nice, clean, sporty look that's not too aggressive and really just cleans up the back of this car. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, how come your wife didn't get a Subaru Wrx maybe? That's a great entry car. And guess what? You're 100% right with that piece of information. The Subaru Wrx is a great car. The problem is she needed and wanted a hatchback. And as you know, 2014 was the last year that Subaru produced a hatchback, so we were kind of shoehorned at looking at the Ford Focus as an option because it is that nice 5-door hatchback that she was looking for. But if Subaru would have had a hatchback this year, maybe this video would be a little different. We don't know yet. We'll see what Subaru's going to do in 2020 with the new designs and revisions that they're bringing for that year. So let's go ahead and check out underneath the hood of this ST. All right, guys, here she is. This is that 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged motor, direct injected, putting out over 250 horsepower. Now, before I talk any more about this engine, I just want to point out to you that what's really awesome about the Focus ST is that it is part of that sub-brand that I mentioned when I was talking about the Ford Focus RS. And if you have not clicked on that Ford Focus RS review, please, as soon as you're done with this one, you definitely want to treat yourself and watch that one as well. But the ST model lineup is a sub-brand of that Ford Performance group. Now, in the Ford Performance sub-brand group, you're going to find the Ford Focus ST, you're going to find the subcompact, the Fiesta ST, you're going to find the Ford RS, also the Raptor, and the Shelby GT350 and 350R. So all of those models are under that Ford Performance, and that is that whole group that is designed for the enthusiasts. I'm gonna do a vlog in a few days telling you about some of those extra incentives of why you should get a car that's part of that Ford Performance brand. But let's focus back on this engine. What I really like about the engine compartment is that everything is super clean. Now, I know some of you don't like the whole covered up with plastic, but let's get real, guys. A lot of these engines have wires, sensors everywhere. They're kind of ugly without any type of covering. So it's like, you know, I could see why some of you might not like it. I like it because it's not just this cheap plastic stuff. They have a nice silver finish. It has this beautiful metal ST badge here. You have your upper intercooler pipe. And I just really like the touches that Ford did by covering the battery, covering the fuse box over here. Everything is easy to get to, clearly marked, and it's just a really clean setup under the hood. I don't know about you though, I want to take this car for a ride. But first, let's go ahead and check out the inside of the Focus ST. All right, guys, I'm inside the Ford Focus ST, and you're gonna see a lot of similarities between the ST and the RS. And to be honest with you, it's a great place to be. Now, let me give you a little bit background information about this whole option thing. So you have 3 options you could go with. ST1 is gonna give you the standard Focus cloth seats. Nothing more, nothing less. No navigation, nothing like that. So that's your bare bones Focus ST if you want to get in at that price point. The ST2 is going to give you some Recaros. Now the Recaros are not the same as the Recaros in this model. The Recaros you get in an ST2 are a combination of leather and cloth. They're really sporty looking. I like them. If you're going to do this, you might want to consider the ST3, and I think a lot of people are not doing that because they don't know all the differences. Let me tell you that the ST3 is really a step up from the ST2, and it's not a lot of extra money, to be honest with you. If you look here, in the ST3 you get these really, really nice. I mean, the quality in these Recaro full leather seats, you just see this kind of stuff in a BMW or a Corvette or a Porsche. They're very, very good quality. The bolstering, I'm going to say this over and over and over again. A lot of people have complained about these seats. They say they're too hard, they don't hold you right. I'm 200 pounds, 6 feet. I love these seats. They're very supportive. In the ST3 package, you get a full 6-way adjustable driver's seat. So what that's going to do for you is to allow you to get that perfect seat position. Plus, back there is lumbar support, and it's power lumbar. So you could give yourself more lumbar support for that lower back or less, depending on your body type. But at least you have the option. Another thing about the ST3 you're not going to be aware of is on the gauge cluster up here, on the door handles and this shift knob are Ford Performance carbon fiber. I'm telling you right now, I've been around carbon fiber for a long time. Ford did one hell of a job with the quality of this carbon fiber. Now, if you're saying to yourself, well, I'll just add that later. Well, guess what? I did a little research. I wanted to find out for you guys, how much exactly would it cost to add this carbon fiber trim and not get the ST3? Here's what I found out. The gauge cluster and the 2 door handles, that's over $600. If you look at the option list when you're buying the car, that is almost half of what the ST3 option costs you, and you're getting the Recaros, you're getting the navigation and everything else. Those HID headlights I told you about, that's all ST3. If you want the shift knob alone, it's going to cost you $120. So as you can see, just between those pieces, you're looking at over $700 in carbon fiber work. And I'm telling you right now, the quality of the weave of this carbon fiber is outstanding. And it really just adds that extra touch of class to the car, especially because it has these wonderful full leather Recaro seats. Another thing I almost forgot, full carbon fiber Ebrake. You know, that's one thing I didn't like about my Type R, I'll be honest, is that electric Ebrake. I like a manual Ebrake, and it's crazy how we're moving away from that because engineers are like, we could simplify this whole area by just putting a button. Well, guess what? I like having the lever. It makes you feel like, okay, you're getting the whole experience with the manual transmission. Speaking about that manual, listen, it's just as good as in the RS. You have these nice, beautiful short throws, very crisp. You know when every gear engages, it's a very, very nice slick shifting transmission. The clutch on this is feather light. It's got a great pickup, but it's not too light to where it's like mushy. I really, really like what the Ford engineers did. Another thing is the steering wheel. Now, what's really nice about the steering wheel, it's that it's ST specific. It has the ST logo right here, and it's a nice flat bottom, good grip. It's heated too. That's something you're not going to find on a Type R or a Subaru Wrx, is a heated steering wheel. And I know, yes, we live in Florida and it doesn't get that cold, but hey, sometimes it does get a little chilly, and it's nice to have that option if you need it. Finally, I think to wrap off this interior is the navigation and this gauge cluster. Now, the navigation that comes in the Ford Focus lineup, it's amazing. And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times, it's the navigation that makes it or breaks it for the ownership satisfaction of a car. The navigation is very quick, it's very easy to read, it's very functional, and I really, really like that about this car. And if you watch my Type R review about the things I hate about the Type R, the ST solves that problem just like the RS. It has this gauge cluster up here. It tells you your oil temperature, oil pressure, and boost. That's a wonderful setup. It's easy to see. It's not all gimmicky with lights and stuff like that. You can tell exactly how much oil pressure you have, the oil temperature, and think about it. You're driving down the road. If that oil pressure gauge drops, you want to pull off immediately, because if you don't, you could blow the motor. Another thing that this ST has, which could be optioned as well, is a power sunroof. And like I said, my wife, she decided if she's going to do this, she wanted to do it right, and she got the fully optioned one. Sunroof, the carbon fiber, the leather seats. Also, what's kind of cool, especially for some of you that like to customize your interiors, it's got full LED lighting in the door handles, the map pockets, she could actually change the colors. There's like 30 different colors you could go through and change the LED lighting at night just to make it a little different. And that's what is so awesome about driving a car like this, is that you want something different. If you wanted the run-of-the-mill cookie cutter car, go buy a Honda Accord, go buy a Toyota Corolla or a Toyota Camry. These cars are meant for the enthusiasts and are meant for having fun. So why don't we go and see what kind of fun we can have in this car and take it for a little spin, shall we? All right, guys, so we're inside the Ford Focus ST. It's, like I said before, it's a great place to be. I love how everything's positioned. One thing I can say about it is, and I'm sure you're gonna see on the next Ford Focus when they come out next year with the new one updated, is some of this plastic is a little bit hard touch, and I think that's where we're moving. I think Ford is acknowledging that, and they're gonna add even more fine, soft touches inside of the car. But when it comes to features, you cannot beat this car. It is push button start. It is keyless entry. That comes with that whole ST3 package. You could also get it on the ST2 as well. ST1 unfortunately does not have keyless entry. But it's just, it blows my mind that not all cars don't have keyless entry yet. I think that's a technology that's been around for a while. I think the technology is very inexpensive, and why we don't see it more is beyond me. There's that wonderful navigation I was telling you about. What's cool is that you can enlarge it, you could zoom in, there's lots of nice features, and in front of the driver as well, it has a great readout. You have your traditional tachometer and speedometer. You also have a nice digital speedometer right there in the center, and then of course your fuel gauge and your temperature gauge. The steering wheel, like I said, it's a nice size. If anything, I prefer a little bit thicker steering wheel, but where the 3 and 9 grip are, it's really nicely located. It's a very moderate steering. You know, it's not too heavy, it's not too light. It's right there in the sweet spot, and that's what my wife really loves about it, and it really makes it an easy type of car to drive when you're going slow or when you're going fast. So let's go ahead and take it for a little spin, and you could hear what I like what the engineers are doing is they're bringing some of that engine noise into the cabin for you to enjoy, because like I said, if you want something totally quiet, go get a Corolla, go get a Camry. This car is about fun, and with fun, some noise is what adds that whole sensation. So here we go, let's take it for a little spin. That clutch, like I said, is so easy to modulate. You know, whether you're sitting in traffic or you're actually doing a track day or an autocross event, very, very easy to do, very, very easy to modulate. So we're in first gear here. The car does have a 6,500 RPM red line, which is a very nice, good red line. It allows you to build up boost and power. You could hear that engine making that rumble. Also, you could hear that turbo spooling up, which is a nice feature to have. But I think the engineers really hit the nail on the head with the proper balance between firm and soft. This car is not very super firm to where it's gonna, you know, knock the fillings out of your teeth over every bump, but it's not mushy. It's very, very receptive. The steering, it's very receptive, very balanced. I'm telling you, you're gonna have a hoot. If you have one of these, you go get one, go take it to an autocross event, you're gonna have a hoot in it, because it is just a fun car to drive. So much so, like I said, it made me be one of the reasons to go get a Type R and go get a Ford Focus RS. Another thing I like, the throttle, very, very smooth. The power builds up very progressively. You're not gonna get you know, that old sensation of driving a turbo power car where you're waiting for the boost to kick in and then it kicks in at like 4,000 RPM like on a Subaru Wrx STI. This car builds up the boost progressively, and it's a really great feeling, very, very smooth, allows you to feel in control the whole time. Now I'm just gonna shut up and let you listen to that engine. see, that sound is just, it's just a great feeling. It makes you feel like you're driving something more than your standard car. Because as you are aware, I'm a car lover. My wife is really becoming a big car lover and learning so much every day. And I know a lot of you are car lovers and also building up that knowledge and experience. But I'm just really in love with the Ford Focus ST and the RS. And depending on which one you want to get, you really can't go wrong. All right, guys. So as you can see, there are so many reasons why I love this car. There are so many reasons why my wife loves this car. Me driving this car is what led to me picking up the Ford Focus RS, because it's just a fun car to drive. Even though it's front-wheel drive, it's not all-wheel drive like the Ford Focus RS. You have that turbocharged 2-liter engine. You have that wonderful slick shifting 6-speed transmission. My wife now can drive to work every single day and have a big grin on her face because she is enjoying the experience rather than just putt-putting around with a CVT transmission and some other kind of car. And if you have not considered the Ford Focus ST when looking at your performance car, especially if it's going to be your first performance car, I highly recommend it. Yes, please take a look at the WRX. Please take a look at some of the other models out there. But you'll see with this Focus ST, I think the biggest thing that both her and I love about it, besides all the fun stuff that comes with it, you would be amazed the rebates right now that you could get on this car, which is going to save you money so you can have the best of both worlds. You could have a car that's easy on the wallet, but you could also have a car where you're having fun every single day of the week. So that's it for today. If you haven't subscribed yet, I promise you it's worth your while. Hit that subscribe button. And if you have a car that you would like to see on Raity's Rides, drop me a line in that comment section. Visit my website, raitiesrides.com. I'd love to have your car featured here. And guys, just like always, I'll see you on the next ride.